Hi everybody, again welcome back. This is Brian in the NACTEC shops in Nome. We're going to spend a few minutes and talk about emissions. In other words, the OEMs, which stands for Original Equipment Manufacturers, that's Polaris, Skidoo, Yamaha, Arctic Cat, Chevrolet, Ford. Now, any company that builds an internal combustion engine has to meet the EPA or the Environmental Protection Agency's restrictions or rules for emissions. That means that their fleet, as a fleet, they can only put out so much pollution, I guess is a simple way of saying that. So again, one of the ways that has been done over the years, instead of the old carburetor spitting the gas on your lap, now what we've got are these fuel injected, very precise, electronically controlled machines. Okay, this happens to be a 2012 free ride. This has the 800 E-Tech. This has the system that actually is squirting. Right here says E-Tech right on top of this. It is actually squirting the gas directly into the combustion chamber. And that's what it's doing. It's squirting the diesel fuel right into the combustion chamber. So that's what this thing is doing. Okay, and it's amazing how efficient it is. In other words, what it has really done has really dropped the amount of pollution that is coming out of the exhaust pipe. Well, how does it do it? There's a whole bunch of different sensors that these machines have on them. They've got sensors in the intake that are sensing barometric pressure. I think they even sense relative humidity. So they can even pick up how much moisture is in the air. They also have sensors. You can see the one right here. There's one right here in the exhaust. And one of them is a temperature sensor. And another one is a oxygen sensor. So what is going on here then, which is really fascinating, is all these different sensors are picking up the readings, and they send a message to the ECM. And it really is only doing two things. It's telling the system to squirt in a very precise amount of fuel. And it also will tell it if the timing needs to be advanced or sped up a little bit, it can do that too. Okay? So again, it's kind of complicated. In other words, it has lots of wires and that kind of thing. But what we can do is there are diagnostic tools. If it's a fuel injected rig, it has a plug in it, and you plug it into a scanner and into a computer, and what it'll do then is it picks up these codes. The computer inside, a lot of times called an ECM, stores that information. So maybe you're it's not running right, maybe your O2 sensor's bad, or maybe your MAP sensor's bad, or a NOx sensor is the one that actually will change the timing. So again, it's pretty neat. Then you can look up and it'll give you an error code, and it'll say, okay, your O2 sensor here is bad, and you switch it out and away you go again. So again, electronically controlled to make the emissions cleaner and cleaner and cleaner as we go here. All these machines, if it's an internal combustion engine, is giving off exhaust. So what's happening is you have call it a hydrocarbon. That's what gasoline is. It's a whole bunch of mixtures of carbons and hydrogens that are chemically bonded together. And when they get mixed with oxygen and they get a spark, or when they get hot enough, they'll explode. It's not a perfect world though. In other words, the gasoline is in droplets. And it would be incredible if you could actually get the gasoline or the diesel fuel, whatever kind of fuel it is, to the molecular level. Because then you would have perfect combustion. Because if you have carbon and hydrogen molecules and you can combust them perfectly with the oxygen, what you end up having for waste is water and carbon dioxide. Well, it doesn't happen. In other words, when you smell these things, when you smell them run, you don't smell, you can't smell carbon dioxide and water. You smell basically what's left over from that combustion process, which is leftover hydrocarbons. So again, but the fuel injected systems and all that are reading all these different variables really help to cut those down. I remember somebody saying one time that the old muscle cars back in the 70s, one of those old muscle cars would put out as much pollution as 20 or 25 vehicles do today. And that has to do with the electronics that are on the machines to make them run more efficiently. Again, to more, I guess, precisely or accurately, or in other words, to get the hydrocarbon to burn more completely. Because the emissions are set by the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, and they're telling the OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers, that your fleet of vehicles on this date, when they hook their sensors up to them, they cannot have more than a certain amount of pollution, these unburned hydrocarbons coming out of the exhaust. What it's doing is, they believe it's messing up the atmosphere. In other words, that there's chemical reactions going on causing the greenhouse effect. And again, it's not good to breathe. So yeah, they're trying to get the air cleaner for us to breathe.